Hello, my name is Anna and I am an obsessive knitter living in Alberta, Canada. You can find my land acknowledgement in the About section of my channel. And I love to knit. I do it every day and I keep on doing it even though some projects are just nothing but grief, like the one I am currently ripping out right now. If you have stumbled across this channel for the first time, I'm really glad you have popped in and you're very welcome here. And if you have been here before, a very warm welcome back. So I have lots of things to share with you today. I'm really excited for this round, this 15th podcast. I have a couple finished objects to share and lots of works in progress, some gift knits, and some plans ahead. And I'm excited that you're here and that you might stick around to hear about them. So first off, what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Always Vest, which is a pattern by yours truly. It's cropped and takes very little yarn. And I'm also wearing a little lucky penny necklace from my friend Brittany of Crux Fibers. She made these as stitch markers, but I honestly don't use stitch markers very often, and I think it's so pretty that I would like to be able to actually be able to see it, so I use it as a necklace more than a stitch marker. So I will get onto this project later, this project that's giving me grief. But first off, I will tell you about the things that I've finished since the last time I talked to you. I'm drinking some rooibos tea. It's called Spice Red Dragon. I think it's just from Stash Tea. But it's actually really Christmassy. It has a lot of cinnamon in it, so just that, no sugar or milk or anything, and it's delicious. So first thing that I finished was a Musselburgh hat, a pattern by Ysolda Teague. This is the first one that I've ever knit. And I have plans to make many more. This one is made in a DK weight yarn with this navy from All Points North on one side and a sport weight superwash yarn from Numana Yarns on the inside. This is for my oldest son. It's a Christmas present, but not a surprise one. He knows that it's coming. I can't do surprise Christmas knits because I need to knit all the time in order to knit Christmas gifts. I can't do secret knitting, so there's just not a lot of time when my kids are not around, to be honest. So he knows that this is coming to him, but he also doesn't get to wear it until Christmas. So he chose these colors. He wanted them to be Oilers, which is the hockey team in the nearby city. So he can wear it this way, or he can turn it inside out and roll up the brim this way. He's very eager to have it. My son tends to lose everything though, so if I give it to him now, it probably will not be in our hat collection by Christmas. Although I have high hopes that if it was specially knitted for him and he chose the colors and he's very excited to get it, that maybe he'll hold on to it for a little bit longer. I honestly thought about duplicate stitching in his name somewhere, but I decided against it. He's 12, so having your name written on your toque is maybe not the thing you want when you're 12 years old. But yeah, my hope was that it would maybe stick around in the family for a little bit longer. But if I haven't stitched in his name, then he can choose to wear it however he likes. I don't think he'll wear it slouchy, but then at least he has the option if he wants to. It is really warm and I really want one. DK weight held double, and then you roll the brim up, so it's 4 layers of DK weight, and it's quite warm, which is what we need up here in the north. So I started this one. There's a couple options of ways to start it. You start out with a small number of stitches worked in the round and you increase rapidly. So I used the Magic Circle cast on, which is a cast on that I have used before for top-down crochet hats. A group of ladies and I taught them how to crochet, and we crocheted a whole bunch of hats for the Children's Hospital near us and for the NICU there. And so I started out all mine with the Magic Circle cast on. And it's pretty simple with knitting too, actually. It was the first time I had tried it with knitting. Another, or the only modification I did, I think. I don't know, I didn't, like once I got to the right circumference through the increases, I didn't really follow the pattern. So I just followed current hats he had and knit it to that length. But yeah, and then when I decreased, I just decreased into in 4 sections as the sort of like mirroring the start of the hat, but decreasing instead of increasing. The increase method I used was the backwards loop increase, which I prefer because there's just less fiddling with your stitches than there is for make ones. So I often use that system in my patterns. It also prevents puckering when you are increasing rapidly. Yeah, I think that's all the only modifications I use for that. Yeah, it's a bunch of kid knits, to be honest, in this episode because my kids all need them. We just had a really cold snap here, and there's nothing like a day or two of -30 to make you realize that, yeah, oh yeah, your kids have no hats and they have no mittens that fit, and all your gloves have seams split and all that. So so my daughter's boots are not super warm. They're supposed to go down to -20 or -30, but they just don't keep their feet very warm. They come, when you buy winter boots here, they come with a plastic felt liner, a polyester felt. So she's obviously wearing her boots today, but these are an old pair from my oldest son. So you take these out. They're never attached to the boot itself. This one he's completely blown out the heel on it. But they're just made from a polyester felt, and they are cut and seamed into a boot shape. They don't have a seam in the front, so that this can open and close and fit the boot a little better. So they slide in like this. So I decided to knit my daughter a pair of boot liner slippers like that felt. So I have some, or had some, custom woolen mills 2-ply. I don't have any in this skein still, but this is who I'm talking about. They're a local mill in my province in Canada. This is a 1-ply, but the one I used for this was 2-ply, and then I held 2 strands together so that it's like a bulky or a chunky weight. And I used an 8mm needle, and I did it all in garter. So I used up a whole bunch of scraps that I had because I ran out of that original green. She was quite thrilled by the mismatched and all the colors. You can't see it anyway in her boots, but she was happy with it. She's 7. And she does not tolerate knitwear very well. She doesn't like it. She doesn't even like superwash, like the softest superwash I've ever felt. She doesn't like it. She doesn't wear it. But she doesn't seem to mind these, and these are not, I don't find them itchy, but it's a pretty rustic wool. So I based this slipper pattern. It's not really a pattern. I mean, I figured out how to make these based on the Simple House slippers, which is a Temple of Knit pattern. You can get a free copy, I think, or you can pay for a copy. I'm not sure what the difference is. Honestly, I have never used the pattern. I just saw on Amber from A Lovely Yarn, she had made those before, and she was showing her pair of slippers, and so I made some socks for my kids to use on the trampoline with 1 strand of this yarn. And I just, based on what I saw on the podcast, I just figured out how to do it. So I won't be publishing any kind of pattern for these, but I will explain to you how I did it. So you could go and see the pattern that Amber used. So the one that Amber used is a slipper like this. It doesn't have the long cuff. So I did a little paper cutout for you to see, kind of visualize how I did it. So there's the boot, just like the boot shape. So I knit it flat. So I cast on along here, and I worked back and forth until I got the width of cuff that I wanted. Then I cast off, bound off these stitches, worked across here, bound off the same number on the other side, remembering that the last stitch, you know, when you bind off, the last stitch is not actually bound off. So you have to keep that in mind. You actually bind off the same number of stitches. And then I work back and forth. So I bind off this side, work across, work this way, come back, bind off. Then I work back and forth this way, and I decreased along these edges until I came here. I decreased every other row or something like that. And this was a rapid decrease for the toe. And then you fold it in half and seam this line here, seam across the top of the foot. And then you get this guy. So if you know your gauge, or approximately, like I knew it was probably going to be around 12 stitches per inch, not 12 stitches per inch, 12 stitches per 4 inches for my gauge, which is 3 stitches per inch, which it is. I can see that it's pretty close to that. So I did some math to figure out how many I would need to get this length, and then I doubled it, and that's the amount I cast on this line. Yeah, and then you just work until it's the right width. I also used the existing boot liner to measure, and just kind of like fudged it along until it looked right. So yeah, I don't have exact examples. The simple house slipper is made in DK weight yarn, so you would have to do, if you tried to base it off that, you'd have to do some calculations anyway. So I think I cast on 6, 8, yeah, 48 stitches for her, and I think she wears a size 2 winter boot, so kid size 2. Yeah, and then I decided the simple house slippers go, they are worked flat like this, and then you join and work this part in the round. So this part is garter and this part is stockinette. I decided to do everything flat so that I could do it all in garter, because garter has ridges and that helps trap air and keep things warmer. Just like this yarn that I chose is big and poofy, or lofty as we say in yarn terms. It traps air within it. So the yarn itself is lofty and air filled, and then when you do it in garter, you give more space for air to fill those ridges. So garter is kind of like corrugated ribbing. I did a little paper prop for you, a little a teaching aid. So if every one of these ridges is a purl side bump, and every groove would be a knit side. So when you are working flat and you're knitting every row, you have knit, purl, knit, purl. Sorry, that's that would be if you're working the round. So you would go, this side would be knit, then you come around and work the back side, you'd knit, but it would push a purl bump onto the front side. And that makes little ridges like that, like corrugated ribbing. And that creates more space for air to sit and get warmed up by your body heat. So I think that plan worked, those theories in action, because my daughter says that they are much, much warmer than her existing boot liners. And like I said, she doesn't find them itchy. Like even just putting your hand inside, it's instantly warmer than when I put my hand inside her polyester felt lining. My only concern with it is that it might wear through this fabric. So holding 2 strands together will help strengthen it a little bit, but it is already starting to pill. Pilling it, I don't mind. Maybe that will start to felt and make it stronger yet. I'm a little concerned it will wear through because of the rubbing of it against the hard plastic on the inside of the boot. But yeah, we'll see. She's only been wearing them for maybe 5 days or something. So yeah, I think those were a win. And someone on my Instagram said that they were gonna make linings for their rubber boots after seeing these, and I think I will do that too, because here in the spring and fall we can have like ice and snow, but it still be really mucky and muddy, so you don't really want to wear your winter boots that soak in all that muck. So yeah, I think I'll make some for my winter boots, and then they'll be more like 3-season winter, sorry, for my rubber boots, and then they'll be more like 3-season rubber boots. Or it'll be like having 2 winter boots in one, because you can take your liners out on warm days. I thought that was a great idea. And oh, and another person on Instagram who actually was a previous sister for me, Rebecca, said that I could felt a wool sweater and then make boot liners out of that, which I may do for my other daughter. I have an old wool sweater that I made actually out of this wool, and I never wear it, so I could felt it and then cut it into pieces that matched all the pieces in the boot liner. Like you cut out a sole, and these two, actually this is actually one piece here, so one of these pieces and the sole, and then it would be pretty simple just to sew that together. I wouldn't even get too fancy. I just hand sew it with maybe some wool thread, and that would be able to felt into the fabric. Yeah, I'm thinking I may do that, although that involves like felting and drying and waiting and cutting, and sometimes it's actually easier for me just to knit a pair of boot liners than to do laundry. But anyway, I thought that was a great idea. So if you have an old wool sweater that you don't use anymore, maybe using it for some kind of felt use would be helpful. I think even just like a wool felt insole would help keep kiddos' feet warmer inside their boots. Like it wouldn't have to be an enclosed boot liner. You could just cut out an insole and stick it inside the polyester felt, and I think that would still help warm up their feet. Okay, I have another swatch to show you. Last time I showed you all a swatch that was rejected, and this one wasn't necessarily rejected. However, I do have a story about it. I will tell you the story about it in my Spin Me a Yarn segment. I felt like this was one of the better swatches I did for the design call. But it will not be a garment unless I have like a very specific submission call that comes along that perfectly matches it. I don't think it will become anything, but I'll tell you more about that at the end. And then I just wanted to show you a little item of interest. My oldest learned how to do Métis finger weaving at school, and they used just acrylic yarn to make these little tassels. They can be bracelets or tassels on garments and stuff. So I wanted to get a video of him doing it, because he has been, for a couple days after, he was making a bunch of them, but I didn't get to do that. But I thought that was beautiful and cool, and yeah, they don't often learn yarn crafts at school, so I thought that was a neat thing, and a little bit of Métis cultural education. So next up is all my works in progress, and first thing to finish is a Musselburgh hat for my other son. That's the one that I am ripping out currently. I did have it finished yesterday, but then I decided that I did not like the jog where the colors were changing. So I'm going to rip it out and start again just from this this first stripe here. So I was just alternating, like just starting a new stripe at the start of the round, but I think I'll try some helical knitting for changing the stripes. That's where you slip the last few stitches of the round before you start a new color, and I think it should get rid of that jog. So this is another Oilers hat, but instead of these national hockey teams here like to have a few sets of jerseys so that you are inclined to buy more jerseys if you already have one. So this is a certain jersey color that they wear, and this is another set that they wear. So my second son wanted this more bright one, so it's actually a fingering weight in Smiling Sheep yarns, and I'm having to be really careful to try and get it long enough, so I'm really having to use all the yarn for this one. So after this Musselburgh is finished, then I'll move on to my oldest daughter's, and it is going to be in this Over the Moon yarn DK, and I'm really excited for this one. For one, it's super colorful, and I don't always knit in color, in a lot of color, although this episode is very colorful, so you might not believe that, but generally I don't usually knit a lot of color. So that will be really fun, and I don't usually knit in variegated or speckled yarn a lot, so that's always enjoyable to knit and see what color is coming up next. Also, I shouldn't have to fiddle with yardage for this one. I should be able to just keep knitting until I run out, so that will be enjoyable too, that I don't have to think about it. That was in the color New Growth, and it is called Subatomic DK. That's the base, and 85-15. It has 225 meters. And then after that one, I have my youngest daughters to do. So I'm working down from biggest to smallest. And I asked my husband if he wanted one, and he said no. He always complains that I don't knit for him, and that I don't, and when I do knit for him, it's not the things that he wanted me to knit. But then when he has the opportunity to choose colors and choose what he wants, then he doesn't want anything. So there you go. He's not very knit worthy. He doesn't appreciate the knits. But I do have some knit worthy kids, so the most knit worthy person in your life is you, because nobody else appreciates the level of effort. So another work in progress that looks a little different than the last time you saw it is the Garti Cardi. So the Garti Cardi now has sleeves. I decided to go with the regular stockinette side. Thank you for all your input. Most people, I think, wanted the regular stockinette. There's a few people that liked the reverse And a couple people said to go with garter, but I wasn't gonna knit them flat and seam them. And if you do garter in the round, then you have to purl every other round, and I didn't want to do that either. So it was either reverse or regular stockinette, and I slightly preferred the regular, and so did you guys, so that's what I went with. It is a nice, comfy drop shoulder. I really like how this worked in here. So I knit these separately. I cast on the stitches and knit them so that I could take them places, because I do a lot of knitting away from the house. Oh yeah, and then I seamed them. That's what I was trying to say. So then I seamed them in at the end. But the pattern will be written for picking up and working down. I made my sleeves really long because that's how I like it. And I started a brioche cuff. Well, I started and finished. So I wasn't sure about the stitch count. That's why I did the cuff separately also, instead of picking up. So it will look something like this. I had originally planned to do a 2-color brioche, but having looked into brioche and stuff, I realized that well, here's the thing. Most of the brioche in this pattern will be knit flat. So the collar and the the hem will be knit flat. So actually I will write the cuffs to be knit flat and seamed up the center. I'm not really sure about that for most people. However, I don't want to write 2 different brioche methods in a pattern. I think that would be overwhelming for a lot of people. Brioche flat is in one color is really repetitive, really rhythmic. It's easy to see your mistakes, I think. And then to have to switch that in the round brioche and try and wrap your head around that. I'm not sure if I would like that as a knitter, and I don't think most people who buy my patterns would appreciate that. So I'm going to write the cuffs will be written flat. So the sleeve will be worked in the round, and then the cuff will be written flat. So maybe I should have done this garter flat and seamed, because then you could just seam the whole thing. That would have been maybe a thought. This is the thing about pattern design, like the coming up with an idea and even knitting it is really the simplest part. It's the wrapping your head around how to word things and explain things and make things in a way that other people can intuitively make it themselves. Yeah, I'm kind of regretting that now as I sit here thinking about that, but anyway, I'm not going to redo these sleeves. So the cuffs will be written flat and seamed, and it will be just 1-color brioche, which I think will be good because 1-color brioche is quite loose compared to stockinette. So actually I'm going to have the 1-color brioche use only 1 strand of a darker color. But then if people don't want to do brioche, they could just continue holding 2 strands and do like a 1x1 or a 2x2 ribbing for their cuff. And that would be, I think that would be a simple way to make it more beginner friendly. So you can level up with your brioche on your cuff and collar and hem, or you can keep it simple with 2x2 ribbing holding 2 strands. So I think that this color, this is by Sassy Strings. It's called Blackberry. I think that will help to tone down all these colors going on in here and help just chill it out a bit, because right now it's quite a lot. So once I'm done all my Musselburghs, I will be heading back to that project. So that's the Garti Cardi, and I've been working on it with my tech editor for the past couple weeks, and I'm just waiting for her to get back to me, barring any major issues that need to be fixed. It should be ready to call for testers soon. I'll just call for testers and you guys can just work on the body and the sleeves while I figure out the shawl collar and cuff and hem. Yeah, what do you think? Should I just wait till January to call for testers? I know December's busy for a lot of us. It is crazy for me, so I probably would not be able to be much help for anybody. So maybe I could call for testers but not send the pattern out till January or something like that. That might be a better idea. Another thing I've been working on, I cannot show you. It's actually going to be published in an in-print magazine, but I can show you the yarn that I've used. So the publication chooses your yarn for you and your colors. This is West Yorkshire Spinners The Croft, and it's actually Shetland wool, which I have Shetland sheep, so of course that's special. So special. And it's really nice to work with. I really like it. That's actually what I have left over from the project, so I could make something else with it. Okay, that's it for all the projects that I'm working on currently. I have some shop news. So today I decided to publish the Lennox backpack. I had thought the original deadline for the test knit was not until next week, but I had testers finish for both sizes that the backpack comes in, and I just feel like there's kind of a rush on patterns before Christmas. Like, people might not be as interested in buying patterns as you get closer to Christmas and there's less time to gift knit. So I just decided to get that done. It was already tech edited and everything. We're just waiting for some like the second and third testers of each size to finish. So they're still working away, and the Lennox backpack is officially published. So as you might know, I always do a 50% gift discount for a pattern during the weekend after its release. So it's currently on sale for a half price just for this weekend. This is the backpack. I stuck a little bunny that I knit like 12 years ago in there. That's how my girls like to use their backpacks. They carry their little stuffed animals in it. So this is the small size. And you just open it by pulling this knot out, and that opens up the bag. It is worked from the bottom up with this kind of different construction where you work a little square flat and pick up stitches around. It's the same construction as the Carrick's Market bag and the Start with a Diamond hat. And then you work in the round all the way up in this different kind of stitch pattern, which is it's the Lennox stitch from the Lennox pullover and the Lennox cardigan. But instead of using this side as those patterns did, I used this sort of bubble stitch side. But you can choose whichever one you like, you can have as your outside. It's kind of hard to see in this speckled yarn, but I think it's kind of fun for a kiddo just to have like a wild backpack to carry their stuffed animals around in. So once you attach the straps and you put it through these eyelets, you can adjust the length of the strap for your kiddo or for you. This comes in a size larger also. So it's about a third bigger in the larger size. So if you can imagine a third. So it could be like a tiny cute backpack for yourself in the large size. Yeah, so you can adjust the strap. So you just take your little knot at the front and undo it, and then you can pull your straps tighter or looser and tie it up so that your straps fit whichever kiddo or you better. And yeah, it's super easy to open and close, which is nice for like toddlers. So my thought was to get it out before Christmas, so if people wanted to knit it as a gift. And I thought it would be really cute to have it as like a little gift bag, and you stick a stuffed animal in it and hang it from a tree or from the mantle with the stocking. So it takes 100 grams or less for the bag part in either size, and then the straps take 20 grams or less, and so that makes it a great pattern for a sock set. So if you have a sock set in your stash, you can make the bag out of the main skein and the straps out of the mini skein, and then they would be coordinating, and you could get a little backpack out of it. It also looks really cute in just one color, or you could use it as a scrappy knit. One of my testers did the bottom of the bag in one color and then the main part in a different color, and then you could do like the straps in another color. You could do one strap in one color, one strap in another color, and like really get into your stash. So there's a 50% discount if you use the code backpack50. If you're not sure about the code, you can go on to my Instagram account and see my post there. The newsletter was already sent out, so you might have missed it there, but you can sign up for my newsletter on the website, and there is a blog post about this backpack there too. Yeah, I think that's all for shop news, except this podcast is now a year old. On the 9th of last December was when I published my first podcast. So if you've been here for that long, that's amazing, and thank you. I still feel like I'm just a newbie and trying to figure this out. I kind of want to do a podcast just focusing on my first year and what I've learned, but I don't know if that'd be interesting to anyone. Honestly, it's been really weird the past 6 months, but just in the last month and a bit, I've started podcasting every 2 weeks and have noticed things shift, and yeah, we've reached 5,000 subscribers, which is incredible that 5,000 people have clicked the subscribe button, unless you're all robots, which is, that's fine too. You're welcome here, robots. So I don't want to do a giveaway for it, but I would like to say thank you to everybody who's watching. And yeah, so I think I'll do, like, there's already the discount for the backpack, but you have to have a code for that. I think I'll do a 30% sale on my entire shop in on my website and on Ravelry. I don't do sales, like I don't do a birthday sale, mostly because my birthday's in August and I'm not even around, nobody's around, and it's not really knitting season where I live. But yeah, I don't do birthday sales. I don't do like Black Friday sales or seasonal sales. So I thought I could do like a 30% off to thank you all for being here. And even if this is the first time you're here and you've watched till this point, then I really thank you. And yeah, it's something weird and new and kind of enjoying it and learning all the time. And yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It has completely changed my knitting business, and I'm super grateful for that. And I never had a place to really nerd out about my designs or my knitting projects and why I did things a certain way. And I've really enjoyed that, and really enjoyed the interaction with you all in the comments, and I've learned a lot from you and been inspired. So yeah, thanks for a year, and thanks for 5,000, and I will put a code somewhere, description or something, to let you know how to get 30% off. Okay, I don't have any new acquisitions, but I did just want to talk a little bit about one of the acquisitions that I showed you before that I am absolutely loving and highly recommend. So this is my needle case that I bought at the Fiber Frolic from Isabel Go Designs. This is her little label. She's on Instagram. She has an Etsy shop. I will link her below. So I bought this with my own money. Isabel has generously given me gifts before, but this was something that I wanted and I purchased. And honestly, it is better than I even thought it would be. So I have a set of Teague needles, the red twist lace. It goes from 3.5, I think, up to 5.5 millimeters or something like that. And then I have other additional needles that I've bought to fill out that set. I have a set of sock needles and smaller needles that fit the tiny cables, and bigger needles that fit the larger cables, so I have those as well. I also have a shorty set from Teague. They're by far my favorite brand of needle. As soon as you can afford that set, you should buy the red twist because it's a complete game changer and makes knitting so much more enjoyable. So I will show you what the needle case looks like. So it is not even full with all my needles in there. I also have a set of knit picks that I use only in dire circumstances. I really don't choose to knit them, but it does have a few sizes that I don't have in here. Bigger ones mostly. My strings are getting all tangled. Okay, so she has these pockets to fit your needles in. They do come with flaps to cover, but my needles do not fit there. They fit here okay, but not in this one, which is fine. And then I have my shorties, my 2 length of shorties here. There is places to put your cords, and I have some more cord stuffed down into this deep pocket. This is my favorite part about it, is these holes she thought to put up here. which I put my T-pins for tightening my needles into the interchangeables. And I have a couple of darning needles. And then this zipper pocket, which I hold it's my old Shorties case, which just holds, now I've put a whole bunch of notions in there. If you can see that. Anyway, that fits in there. My handy dental floss roll for putting stitches on hold, which I've talked about before on here. And my beautiful child scissors, safety scissors. My tape measure from the Fiber Nook. Those come with online orders, by the way, if you order from the Fiber Nook. And they're excellent tape measures. And, oh my goodness. Okay, so this is my favorite part right here. So this, you might be wondering what the heck this is. This is a silicone, you know when you buy like a big bottle of liquor, like rum, and it has attached a little smaller sample bottle? That's what this is, but it's made of silicone. And so it is excellent for tightening your needles onto your interchangeable set. So you use your T-pin in the notch, and then you use this instead of your fingerprints, and you tighten it on, and they don't come undone, and they don't unthread. So this hole of the silicone fits in here, and I don't know if Isabel planned that, but I love it. So it fits on there. So I've got my T-pins and my silicone for sharpening my needles onto their cords. So yeah, I love it. It's kind of bulky, but not obtrusively so. And yeah, fits all my stuff in there. So I just wanted to share that little gem with you all. I thought I might recommend a video I saw. It's not really knitting related, but knitters do ask me a lot about my workout routine and my yoga, which I do 4 to 5 days a week. 4 days at home, once out at a local studio. I'm always a little bit hesitant to share, like if people say, oh, my wrist is bothering, what should I do? Because I'm not medically trained, and also the body is so complicated. A problem with your wrist could actually be an issue with your forearm or your shoulder, but I would recommend like always going to a physiotherapist. That's where I started. I had trouble with my hip and my back after having a lot of kids in a short time, basically. And I had diastasis recti, which is where your abdominals are split down the middle from being pregnant. And I was incontinent, and I had, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. So basically just from having and carrying and nursing babies for a really long time nonstop. So the first thing I did was go to a physiotherapist, and she completely changed my life. I didn't even know the things I didn't know about my body. And there was no way I could have fixed it by myself, because even if I had done the exercises, I would not have been able to trigger the right muscles to work. I would have actually been working the incorrect muscles and probably would have hurt myself. So that's what I would recommend, is going to a physiotherapist first. But if you are on a journey towards taking care of yourself and creating a more mobile, strong, and flexible body, I can recommend a couple channels that I have watched and have gleaned some information from. So one of my favorites is called Strength Side. I think they're two brothers, and they are all about like non-traditional movement in order to get strong and flexible. So instead of just doing like forward folds, it's like doing a combination of movements that trigger your hamstrings, and Anyway, I find it a lot more effective than what we might think of as working out. So they just posted a video here on YouTube about, they called it Forgotten Primal Movement, but it's all about like getting up from the floor, basically, like our connection to the ground we've kind of lost. And those movements of getting up and down from the ground are really complex coordinated movements that you can use as like a test to see how flexible you are, and just focusing on those movements can help you in a lot of other ways. So yeah, I would recommend that video. I would recommend that channel. So I thought I would just share that with you if that is something you're interested in. Yeah, I think that's it for this podcast. I only have a little bit of a story about that one swatch, and then that will be it for me. And today is the 8th. So 8 plus 14, so 2 weeks from now is the 24th. So yeah, I will not be doing another podcast before Christmas Eve. So if you celebrate Christmas, I wish you a very merry, happy Christmas. And we're having family here over Christmas, and then we are going away. So I probably will not do another one before New Year also. So happy New Year. Okay, so about my story about this. So this was a submission call for the Fiber Company. Their submission call is another of their almanac series. So the one that I was able to submit to and contribute to, like that was accepted from last year, was the one about the night sky, and this one was about oceans. So I was very inspired by their mood board and their submission call, and I knew pretty much right away what I wanted to do. So I sketched a proposal for a turtleneck circular yoke. So this would be like the neckline, and then it would continue into the circular yoke. And then there would be like a little bit on the sleeves maybe. Yeah, and I had I just felt it fit their submission call so well. So I finished it early because I was so inspired, and I finished and blocked the swatch and photographed it, and I put all the proposal into my format, made it into a PDF, and then there were some other submission calls I was working on. So I was sure that I had submitted it. So the submission, because I had finished it so early, so the submission call deadline came and passed, and I thought, well, it's strange that I haven't got an email from the Fiber Company saying that they've accepted it. You have to do it through their website. This actual submission is through the website, but I was sure that I always had gotten like a email saying, we got your submission, just acknowledging that you had sent something. And then I went back through my email, and I looked for any sign that I had actually submitted this design, and I couldn't find it. But I also couldn't find any proof that I had submitted anything to the Fiber Company, which obviously I had, because I had something accepted, and some other ones I had submitted and they were not accepted, so I should have some proof of those too, and I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, maybe I just remembered incorrectly, and I actually never got an email saying you have submitted. Maybe I just got an email saying you were rejected or you were accepted. So I just left it and continued on, finished the other proposals and sent them off. And then the time of the time that they accept things had passed. So they usually tell you within this week we will decide. And the Fiber Company, not everyone does this, but the Fiber Company always writes you an email and says, thank you for submitting. We have not if they haven't accepted you, they say, we cannot accept your submission at this time. Thank you for submitting. Please try again, which is always nice. So I didn't get that email either. I didn't get one that said I was accepted or rejected. And I thought, that's weird. And I remember being on the website, but I don't remember, and I remember being on the page where you press the submit button, but I don't remember actually pressing the submit button. So I start to get this like sinking feeling that I had actually gone onto the website but hadn't actually submitted, because maybe it was really early and I thought, no, I better wait till closer to, in case I decide to change something. So another week or two went by and I was like, I don't know that I submitted anything. So I wrote the fiber company and was like, I'm sorry if this is a bother. Did you get anything from me? Like, by this time they've already sent out all their accepted letters saying like they've already filled their docket with designs, so there's no hope. But I just, for my own sanity and peace of mind, I needed to know, did you get anything from me? And they wrote back and said, no, we did not get anything for this submission. It was like honestly one of the best ones I've ever done. Like, I felt so good about it. I don't always feel good about it. And I didn't even submit it. It's like the worst feeling ever. It's like back to school days when you forgot that you had a test or something. I did miss a university exam once. And that was the same feeling. Maybe not quite. Maybe I'm being dramatic. It was like just brutal. So she said, the person I talked to said that I could send the proposal, and if they wanted to do yarn support, maybe that would be an option. But I really don't want to do designs for yarn support anymore, especially like this one was it just fit their mood board so perfectly. It wasn't exactly something that fits my style, but I just felt like it fit their aesthetic really well. So I wasn't keen to do it myself for my own designs, but I did send it to them just to like be like, at least somebody saw it. But anyway, that's the lesson I've learned, is not to finish things too early. You have to have a little bit of procrastination, because that bit of panic puts a fire in you, and then you don't forget to press the submit button. Anyway, that's the story I had for you guys, and yeah, I think I already pretty much said my goodbyes, so happy December, everyone. Bye.